So, if you're new here, my name is Rebecca. I do ACT and SAT prep, and I very nerdily actually make graphing calculator programs. I have gotten very deep into calculators, as the thumbnail shows. There's a ton on my desk. So, today, what we're going to do is kind of a very straightforward product review. This is perfect if you are on the market for a graphing calculator just to decide because there's a lot of options out there. I have tested them all, and all of them have been bought with my own money, except the TI-Evo that was gifted to me. And what I'm going to do is I am going to start from the beginning of what I think is the worst possible option to buy on graphing calculators and end with pretty much my two favorites that I think are either or a great option. This is all my opinion, and we will link everything below so that you can make the best choice for you and your family. What's going to be the best graphing calculator? But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. A quick side note I'm going to make for today is there are a couple of other kind of fringe graphing calculator out there. Since I do mostly ACT and SAT prep, I only pulled ones that are actually approved by the ACT or SAT. Anything that says CAS, like CAS, is not allowed on the test. And so I did not pull those. I also did not do an HP calculator. Those are super rare and those are even harder to use and really expensive. So just please keep that as a caveat. So my first and least favorite one, and if you found it on like me talking about it on Instagram, I had a whole rant and that's where my southern accent came out. So this calculator is the Casio. So this one I believe I have seen in Walmart, and this one is the like 9750G3 is what I'm thinking, and it claims to be and seems to be like a graphing calculator, but honestly it is the cheapest, but it's actually the worst in certain things. We do want to like save money obviously, but there's certain things that are just like they're just not like they're so bad, like it's not even worth the money it's worth. So this one goes for between $50 to $77 new. It does have graphing, but as I'm showing, it is really it's just not intuitive at all. It is really hard to use. It's really grumpy. And what I mean by that is it is just honestly it's just so glitchy, and as someone who does math like almost every single day of the week, this is one I would not grab towards. Other things that can be confusing for students, and I work with mostly high schoolers, is as you see in the menu, what is going on here is just honestly it's really pixelated. It's hard to read. It's hard to like just understand like what is happening, and maybe it's just because my eyes are a little bit older than the kids, but as you graph it's really unclear. It is not one I would recommend for testing. I would recommend some of the others that I'm going to suggest that you can get, especially secondhand, for just like a lot cheaper or a little bit close to the same price, and it's so much more worth it. So a couple other notes, like some basic things. We talked about the price, and I'm trying to open this. So this one is actually battery charged, and that is actually, I will say, that is kind of nice. And then this one looks like it can connect to the computer, so it can take programs. Honestly, the way that this thing is built, my theory is that if you try to put graphing calculator programs on this, this whole bad boy would crash. So my next in line that, I don't know, I'm kind of mixed about, is going to be also a Casio. And I'm sorry, Casio, like if you're watching this, y'all's calculators are just not my favorite. My biggest beef with Casio calculators is that they're not the most user intuitive. This one is the Casio FX-CG50. This one is a little bit fancier. The price point for this is anywhere from $90 to $120, and so it's not cheap, but it's also one that is not intuitive. So as like I'm looking through the screen, it is not even just yelling at me to where I like go like 2 plus 2 and stuff like that. Like if you click run matrix, which is really just not an intuitive word at all, like no one's gonna think about that for just like finding basic math. Like it works and the font is really clean, but the menu's in a weird spot, and also the graphing as well. Like they try to make it look pretty, and like I said, the font is good, but it's just not intuitive at all. And a lot of the things that are confusing as you set it up is it's using like F1, F2, and then you're really having to look for the graph. And I would be honestly, I mean, like, unless I was using this every single day, I would be feeling like frustrated as a student. This one, you hit enter, the graphs are actually really pretty, so I do give it that, but just lack of usability. And that sounds like so cheesy, but when you're taking a test, like, you need to be moving fast and you need to be comfortable with your calculator. And that's just one of my beefs. So for charging, it's got that like standard charger that comes with a lot of these calculators, and it can connect to the computer as well. I also was reading that it can be battery powered. So I personally put in batteries, but it looks like it can be a little bit of both, and I haven't tested both. If you find that different in the comments that you have to have batteries in, let me know. And it's really interesting because it looks like it's more UK and Germany based. So maybe they use it more in the UK. And if you're watching this, I'm super curious, is this like the standard calculator? Because this is not one we commonly use in schools, but they're like all over Walmart, Amazon, all that stuff. So my third option, kind of like ranked, I don't know, we're going from the bottom, number 3 from the bottom, is going to surprise a lot of people. Some people like really love this calculator. Some schools are like really, really hardcore on using it. And if that's your school, this is not like a fit for you. This is more of like, if you're going to Walmart, Target, Amazon, whatever, and need to buy a graphing calculator and you don't have a lot of time to learn it, I would stay away from actually the TI-Nspire, and the reason is it's a very smart calculator. The price point on this one, I got pretty used, but it's starting at $130. It ranges up to $165. Mine was used, I think it was like $120 on Amazon as open box. And these are more like the school standard ones. So some kids really like these. I've had parents reach out that they use this at the school, and that's great. I know a math teacher that loves these. But my biggest concern with this, of just like handing this to a kid, like, yes, this one is super smart. It is a huge learning like curve with it. It is really like a mini computer. And then one of my major things with this one at all is honestly, a lot of it is just, it's a mouse feature. So just kind of as you see on the screen, it takes a lot of work to be able to pretty much like use this well, and it's a huge learning curve. And so for like your standard math student who is like not using this regularly, this is one I would kind of sway away from just because of the learning curve. It's got a whole keyboard, it can store a lot, it looks a lot like computer files, and it's one of the most expensive. So if you disagree with me or you love yours, let me know. I have been getting asked a whole lot on trainings for these and doing like the ACT calculator programs. I do plan to do it. I just have to be really, really strong with this calculator before I go down that rabbit hole. So our fourth one from the bottom is going to be, I believe it's pronounced NumWorks. I actually had not heard about this one until probably about a month ago, I would say. And I ordered it because I was having some students pretty much asking me about it. It's really not the cheapest. It's about $100 on Amazon as of today. What I really like about it versus like some of the earlier ones is it is actually a lot cleaner of a screen and easy to use. Outside of like I would say it's kind of like a mid-range price point for a graphing calculator, but it's really clean. If you go to the calculator button, it makes a lot of sense. Like, it's pretty intuitive, which is kind of a big thing that I'm looking for with students. For kind of charging, it's got that fun universal charger, which is fantastic. I do really appreciate that, and it can connect. One of the downsides with it is for testing, for everything I've been reading, is you have to make sure this is in test mode, and sometimes you have to download stuff from the NumWorks website to be able to get it into test mode, and that seems to be changing. So please double check me if you have this graphing calculator already, but there is some nuances with testing and making it allowed. So that's just my biggest hesitation. But I do like how their like graphing looks. It looks beautiful, and yeah, so it's one I'm definitely, like, I don't think is a bad option. It's a little bit different. And if your school is not using it a lot and you don't have someone super strong, like in this, it could be a little bit of a disadvantage. So number 5 is, oh man, it honestly like gave me some flashbacks from when I was in high school, and I know I look like I'm in high school. I'm really not. I'm in my 30s. But that being said, is the TI-84 Plus. Like this bad boy. I actually just bought this from Walmart. I didn't even know, like, I didn't think they still sold them because they're so old. So for kind of reference, this calculator was made, and I had to look this up, was made in 1999. And so it is it's not a young spring chicken. I mean, it's so here's why it's not lower on the list. It actually still works fairly well. It is just it's a little slower and it's a little archaic, and being Texas Instruments, most kids actually know how to use it because they are a lot in the classroom. What I do like about some of these is they have just like a couple of easy read things. You can, so actually I believe there's a way to port programs on here. I haven't messed with these very much. But if you have, let me know. It's just because I don't like these versions. Most of the students I know don't have these. And for charging, it's got the batteries. My thing with this one is if I'm out on the market for a like graphing calculator, and especially if I'm going to be taking a few math classes, I don't know if I would invest in like the oldest model. This one, man, I'm trying to remember now. I'm blanking when I got it for Walmart, but it was close to $100 from Walmart, maybe a little bit less. And I might have to spot check that. But you can get these like used pretty cheaply. So if you're literally balling on a budget and you need like it for $20, you probably can get these off Facebook Marketplace. So that's where the caveat is, if you don't have the money to spend on a graphing calculator, but you got $20, you probably can't buy them for $20. So that's not a bad thing. It still works pretty intuitively like the other ones where you've got the Y equals. It graphs fine. I always love the table feature on here. The graphing's a little slower. The tracing, as you can see, it honestly like reminds me of like a spider because it's a little bit fuzzy and it's harder to see. But you know what? It does. Honestly, it does do the job. So if you need to get one really secondhand that's still going to work, I would probably go to this one. So my next in line, this was actually, so this is our TI-84 Plus original. This was pretty much made in 2004, so it's not a really like large gap between these. This was actually, this was like the cool calculator when you're in school. So like you were cool if you had one of these, and like the other one was kind of considered like the lame calculator. You could tell I was in the nerdy classes where we compared calculators, but I digress. So this one does have batteries. I debatably like the battery charger. This one, you can upload programs. I have been using some of mine that I use on, and I have in my course that work really well for these on these graphing calculator programs. It doesn't work for every single one, but it works for most of them. It's a little bit more sleek. It's a little bit more modern. It does a lot of the same things. It's got logs. It's got all of that stuff. It does pretty much the same thing. It just, the processing, it's just a little bit faster. It looks a little bit cleaner. If you're like really balling on a budget, then maybe this one, unless you can get it secondhand, might not be the best fit. But if you're going on Facebook Marketplace, you can find it between like $30 to $50. You're gonna be closer to, I believe, like $100 or a little bit more at Walmart, Amazon, all that stuff too. So it's not bad. It does the job. It moves a little bit slower, but it's not the first one I would reach for. But it's not gonna hurt if you're trying to like save some money while you're shopping for these. Okay, so I am, for my favorite, I'm actually going to do two at the same time because it's actually really a matter of preference at this point. So this is my like old reliable TI-84 Plus. I have two of these. I think I have even more in the office because I test programs on them. I write programs for this. So this calculator and the Evo, you can argue between the two of which one you would like, which one is better. Technically the Evo is slightly more updated, but I don't at this point believe it's a huge impact on the test score, and this is kind of where it boils down to like a matter of preference on these. So with this TI-84 Plus, it is a little bit cheaper. You can typically get it for under $120. It still works. It's the one I use, and I don't know. I'm taking the ACT 2 days from now, and I might be actually bringing this one over this one. I'm undecided. A couple of things that are like unique on this one. I mean, versus the older edition. It does move a little bit faster. It's a little bit cleaner when you read the graph. I like that it's got color, especially if you got multiple lines happening. The table feature is clear. And it overall works pretty well. One of the downsides of it versus the Evo, and I'll get to that in a second, is the charging is going to be that good old annoying, I gotta double check the name of that cord, but this cord right here, I think it's USB-A. I have to double check. I have a few of them. So it is not like your universal charger. I have like 5 of these chargers and I can't seem to like keep up with them. That might be a personal problem, but it drives me crazy because I'm always losing that charger. And I know I'm not the only one because the amount of students that have lost their charger the day before the test, and a lot of times you can't get it at like the store, are always in a panic. I've charged kids' calculators like in my office out of like their stress. But overall, it works. I do appreciate, and on my orange one, because my orange one's not wiped, on apps, they have a lot of pre-downloaded stuff, especially like Polysmelt 2. They also have like inequalities. They have conics, which I really like, and I go over kind of a lot of my course, which I'll link below too. And the caveat is so if you're a nerd like me and understand a little bit about programming, so this one does use Python. It can use Python, and it codes in TI Basic. But here's the thing, and I'm married to a computer programmer, so I was like asking him about this to like clarify, is the Python that this uses, I wouldn't put Python in this calculator. It'll crash. It's like a really basic level of Python. So it's one, if you're like really committed to coding in Python, this is not a good option for you, but it does the job. It's a little bit cheaper. And then this bad boy is the Evo. Out of this whole lineup, this is the only one I personally have not paid for myself. It was really nice that Texas Instruments did give me like an influencer gift for this. And so they gifted this to me. This one, believe it goes for about $150, $160. It's pretty. There's a really pretty like dark pink one that I really want, but I probably don't need, but I really do want it. And what I like about this one over that one is if I'm doing stuff in Python for that coding, yes, it does work a lot better. The features on this are, one, they move faster, especially with the graphing. They are cleaner, which is really nice. I do love that they have a home screen, which you just push with the home button, which is fantastic. Other kind of key things about this that are different, we talked about the Python, is actually a lot of the table is quite different, and it does, I think, a better job of the table feature where you can actually see a little bit more of fractions and stuff like that, which I like. I do obviously like it's the same, like this is the universal charger one, so you don't have to have that special charger that you lose constantly. And one of my other things that I really like about it is outside of just that home screen feature is going to be the lines and conics section. On that one, it's really pretty how it pops up, and it's a lot easier to read, and I do like that a little bit better. But like I said, I think either of these are a good option if you really just like need one that's deep, like good, but you don't want to get the extra level. Then I think at this point it's totally fine to get this one. So if you want more calculator videos, please let me know. I have totally nerded out with these. If you want to learn how to actually create your own programs, I do have one video on that for Evo, and I'll be planning to make one for the Texas Instrument. Or if you just need some ACT and SAT material prep, make sure you hit subscribe. If you want to purchase any of the calculators, they are all at the links below. And I've also included my ACT graphing calculator course. But regardless, I hope to see you soon.